Harry's Wife, Part 102.13, Wallis and Wallis 2. It's repeatedly been commented upon about the similarities between Harry's wife and Wallis Simpson. Naturally, part of that is because they're both American, both divorcees, and latterly there seems to be a physical resemblance. And it's something that the Mail Online has cottoned onto also. Now, what they've done rather entertainingly is find pictures of Harry's wife where she does indeed look very similar to Wallis Simpson, primarily because of the what they're wearing, or the way that they're standing, or the way that they're gesturing. And I'm fairly certain that, given the amount of photographs taken of Harry's wife and also of Wallis Simpson, it's not difficult at all to find similarities. Indeed, I'm fairly certain that if Joe Bloggs from Scunthorpe were photographed tens of thousands of times, we could probably find instances of Joe Bloggs from Scunthorpe looking similar, for instance, to somebody famous, Tom Cruise, who's been photographed tens of thousands of times. Nevertheless, there are evident further similarities, and let's dive into what the Mail Online has to say in the article by Anna Pasternak. It headlines with Wallis and Harry's Wife, the Duchesses of Twindsor. Newly released image of Harry's wife with a lingering stare struck some observers as uncannily reminiscent of Wallis Simpson. But how else do they look alike? The blood-red blouse has a long pussy bow to the side. The camera is faced square on. The Duchess, it seems, is making a statement of firm resolution. But which Duchess are we talking about? A newly released striking picture of Harry's wife taken by celebrity photographer Meghan Harriman, and more about this photograph in forthcoming videos, shows her wearing a lingering stare, and perhaps a trace of a smirk, undoubtedly the narcissist smirk, along with an eye-catching design by Another Tomorrow, a New York fashion label. The image struck some observers as being uncannily like the outfit of another Duchess, Wallis Simpson, who wore a very similar item in 1971 in red chiffon with a dramatic long tie neck. Both American Duchesses even had their hair pulled tightly back for their respective portraits. Both were American divorcees who met their British princes when they were 34. Both helped to generate international interest and not a little controversy in the House of Windsor. Comparisons have also been drawn between Harry and Edward VIII, our current King's great-uncle, though the Duke of Sussex does not share Edward's penchant for expensive clothes. He displays the same besotted devotion to Harry's wife that Edward did to Wallis. More alarmingly, post-Megxit, Harry often seems to carry his ancestors' rather haunted expression. As I have explained before, the besotted nature of Harry is as a consequence of his emotional thinking driven by his addiction and his succumbing to the manipulative wiles of his wife. The haunted expression is, of course, the impact of the sustained devaluation that both him and Edward experienced. Royal historian Hugo Vickers noted this week that he had never seen anyone with such sad eyes as Edward. Harry, Vickers believed, now often betrays a similar grief. Little wonder, given that he was until recently all but estranged from his close family. While Harry's wife is often keen to suggest an image of strength and power in her pictures, assertion of control through facade, boldly staring into the camera, Harry looks far less confident. Sustained devaluation. And as the pictures show, this week was far from the first time that Harry's wife has apparently modelled her look on Wallis. Yet while Harry's wife's self-confidence appears boundless, Wallis used expensive clothes to hide her insecurities. Asked by a friend after the 1936 abdication why she devoted so much time and attention to dressing, she replied, "My husband gave up everything for me. I'm not a beautiful woman. I'm nothing to look at. So the only thing I can do is dress better than anyone else." There is another difference between the two women. During her long exile, not once did Wallis bleat about the injustice meted out to her by the royal machinery, and unlike Harry, who carped about his family to Oprah Winfrey, Edward also kept stum. Harry's wife was given everything by the royal family that Wallis was denied: an HRH title, a royal wedding, and a warm welcome by the Windsors, yet none of this was enough for the former Ms. Harry's wife. Harry's wife may well be a fan of the Duchess of Windsor's elegance. Now some would say she might do well to emulate Wallis in other ways too, and practice a dignified silence. There are clear similarities in looks, the way that she wears her hair, and of course some of the outfits. Now, is this intentional on her part? She does not sit down and think to herself, do you know what? I am going to look like Wallis Simpson. But she will revel in the comparisons, because it is seen as being an agitator, as doing things differently, as breaking from tradition, and she'll revel in that because it affords her a sense of control. So she does not think to herself, today I'm going to dress like Wallis Simpson. Why? Because she doesn't see herself as emulating anybody. In her world, deluded as it is, she is the leader, she is the pioneer. She subconsciously mirrors other people's behaviour, she subconsciously acquires those character traits. And therefore her narcissism may well guide her to dress in a similar fashion because of the impact that it has upon people. In effect, she is subconsciously triangulating them with Wallis Simpson and the comparisons between the two, so that it provokes a reaction from people, thus asserting control, thus enabling fuel to be drawn. Accordingly, her narcissism will make use of the potential comparisons, both American, both divorcees, and both having physical similarities and also in the way that they dress. But Harry's wife doesn't sit down and think to herself, I'm deliberately going to dress like her. It happens subconsciously, guided by her narcissism. Let's go below the line, find out what people think about this in terms of these comparisons. Not a Robot states, nothing Megxit does is original or authentic. She's an actress and Harry is not to be pitied. He's going along with all of it because they're both self-absorbed idiots. Well, not idiots because they are making money, aren't they? Every move has been planned and every photo staged for effect and copied right out of the history books. Girlfriend has done her homework. Watch out, royals, she'll stop at nothing. Lovey-dovey too. At least Wallis didn't constantly hold her husband's hand like a teenager from Belfast to Dublin, or rub his back like he's a big baby. Grave, at least Wallis was supposed to be charming. Harry's wife is just mean. Just another voice. Wallis was a serial cheater after she got the former king. How long before Harry's wife decides that Harry is of no more use to her? Nanook 2-1. She chose the wrong royal spouse to emulate. And on Emouse, they were both well practised in the Cleopatra grip. Daily Mail 110. Look to the past for her future, but I don't think the past had a podcast involved. Take notes, Harry's wife. Colonel Blimp, back to the yacht geeks? ? Outright realist. Is she doing it on purpose, or is a stylist and or photographer trolling her? Autumn Leaves 7749. They are both self-possessed American women who zeroed in on weak but rich royal men. Wallis regretted it in the end because she could hardly divorce the Duke. Harry's wife can and will, taking Henry to the financial cleaners in the fullness of time. Sunya Rising. I think Wallis was AC/DC. Is Harry's wife the same? I Spy Again. Wallis never wanted the wedding. She implored Edward not to abdicate, but he did, and after the speech where he said he did it for her, she was trapped and felt she had to go ahead with it. She was flattered by his attention and mixing in higher circles, but that was it. She never wanted to go it further. Bobo Mum. Both women manipulated and married weak men, thinking it would elevate them to great status. Both were disappointed and became bitter. Both underestimated the British monarchy and British people, although in the end I think the current couple will cause more trouble. Southern Englander. Both hard, determined, and self-centred women. Wigan Patriot. Any woman wearing the perfume of a dead woman on an arranged first date with a dead woman's son is very suspicious. Kath J. First, she wanted to be Catherine, then Diana, and now she thinks she's Wallis. There's something seriously wrong with Harry's wife. Well, Again, this is the mirroring nature of the narcissist and character trait acquisition. Looney Lynn, at least Wallis didn't slag off the royal family. Katie from Swansea. How's your frail father, Harry's wife? Disgusting. He has never had the opportunity to meet your husband nor his grandchildren. Downright cruel and shows your true nature. Tidbury Bleach. Is she trying to be like Wallis? She is nuts. Pike Hunter. I'm beginning to think that this woman has mental issues. Kid Jody. Both needy, childish men, both older, more experienced women. Emma Rose 16. Very creepy behaviour. She worked 15 minutes for the monarchy like 4 years ago. It's time for her to move on to stop riding the coattails of the royal family. Trisha 33. She is a chameleon, correct, and orchestrates these on purpose. No. Plus no originality in most things she does, correct. Just me. Harry's wife is fundamentally non-compliant. She has an opinion on everything because she wants to be heard. She wants to influence people, but not through duty. She has an unbelievable, elevated sense of self-importance that doesn't fit with anyone, so she can't be part of anything, including her birth family. She has to be the one in charge, and can be with Harry, as he's fundamentally compliant. Royal duty is military. He just fell for a woman hook, like, and sinker, and she's convinced and manipulated him into agreeing with and worshipping her own thoughts and opinions. She is always right, everyone else is wrong. That is an accurate summation of the behaviours, and of course, as you all know, driven by her narcissism. Holly L. Actress. Joe Lysett, Hugo Boss. How dim is Harry that he doesn't realise a normal woman seeking a normal life doesn't make deals with Netflix? Opus 1. She hasn't got an original thought in her head. First she tried to copy our late Queen by trying to look adoringly up at Harry, as Elizabeth genuinely looked at Philip throughout their lives, seen on many photographs. She tried to copy Diana's clothes, hats and poses. She copied Catherine even before she met Harry, on her wedding day in Jamaica wearing a replica outfit. She moved to Wallis a couple of years ago, noticeably in the Oprah Winfrey Whinge Fest, by copying the hair and dress, but the dress looked as if a seagull had an accident on it instead. She said that she knew nothing of the royal family, hadn't even Googled Harry, but had watched videos of Diana and Catherine's wedding to William over and over again, and had many books on the royal family, according to her friends, and her own Tig blog. She researched everything. The jewellery and tiaras she thought she would get, the free designer clothes, the film premieres and photo ops, the castles, but not the protocols, rules and actual duty. Again, she has looked into this and is aware of it, but her narcissism selects these steps for her to take. And she does mirror. And she has mirrored Elizabeth, she's mirrored Diana, she's mirrored Catherine, she mirrors Wallis Simpson. But this is done subconsciously, because the narcissism of her type doesn't allow her to know precisely the reasons why she's doing these things. Sexy lady, I'm 100% convinced she has a personality disorder. Indeed she does. Her words and actions are not those of a rational person. She needs psychiatric help. Or is it too late? And hundreds of comments in a similar vein, all not supportive of her and all critical, which demonstrates again the body of views that are against her. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.